What's up, everyone? Thank you for coming in and joining us on this Sunday night. I know it's Olympics night. I know some of you mentioned last week about, hey, Steve, the Olympics are on. I'm not going to be able to watch you live, but I will be able to watch you when I'm done watching the Olympics. That's fine. You want me to spoil the Olympics for you? Because most of the stuff they're showing tonight has already happened earlier today. I saw the 50-meter freestyle, which actually that was shown about an hour ago. Again, 1,500-meter freestyle, I think that has already been shown. I'm sure you saw the 100-meter men's track and field. That was a outstanding race. And I didn't know this. Did you know that I thought it was the first body part to cross the finish line? It's not. It's torso. So if you don't lean, that's why they all lean their chest out when they cross the finish line. If your foot crosses first, it doesn't matter. It's shoulders to waist. First thing that crosses between your shoulders and your waist is the winner, which is relevant in the 100-meter dash from earlier today. But thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate it. We'll wait for a few more people to come in. Obviously, hit the subscribe button down below if you want to be able to check my YouTube out every week. And we're going to be here every Sunday night for the month of August. Then we're going to take the first week of September off because I'll be out of town. And then after that, probably going to be Friday nights. And I'm going to try and have a guest on every week, but Friday night might be tougher just because people have stuff to do on Friday nights. But again, please watch and subscribe down below. And also we will have, obviously, if you would like to donate, by all means, you can do that. If you want to help out the YouTube channel, all my notifications are down there at the bottom, where to donate, Super Chat, Venmo, and PayPal. I will say this. Super Chats obviously get pushed to the front of the line. We're going to take we have no guests tonight, so we're going to take a lot of your questions. So obviously Super Chats get bumped to the front of the line. However, you don't need to do that. But if you want to, go ahead. But we have Brad in here that's eventually going to be in here and going to be taking your questions and starring them so I can just bring them up. But any questions you have, by all means, head on over and bring those up. And we will get to those probably, 20, 25 minutes in. All depends. All depends on how things go. Got a few things that I want to cover here. First off, as we got to talk about it, as we do every Sunday night, the T-shirt. So I attended the Hill Valley Enchantment Under the Sea Dance November 12th, 1955. We all know that was a seminal moment in movie history when Marty went back. He went back to 1955. He actually went back on November 5th, but remember, he stayed there a week because he had to make sure his dad fell in love with his mom, because his mom was infatuated with him once he arrived in 1955 because he wore purple underwear and called himself, well, he didn't call himself Calvin. His 1955 mother did. But the Enchantment Under the Sea Dance, just awesome. One of the best scenes from the movie. A little backstory about Back to the Future, in case you didn't know, since I seem to give you a backstory on all my T-shirts, and then usually the movie that they're in, the movie that they're from. Did you know that the original title of this movie was supposed to be Spaceman from Pluto? Yeah, the network or the movie execs wanted it to be Spaceman from Pluto. They didn't like anything with future in the title. They didn't think it would work with the audience in the mid-'80s. Boy, could you imagine if Back to the Future was called Spaceman from Pluto? What an awful title that was. The other thing was the original time machine. This baffles my mind. I love talking Back to the Future, as you know. A couple weeks ago, I told you the story behind Twin Pines Mall versus Lone Pine Mall. Here's a great one. First off, it was supposed to be titled Spaceman from Pluto. Second one, did you know that the original time machine that they were going to use in the movie was going to be a refrigerator? Yes, a refrigerator. I don't know how they were going to do that. If Marty was going to climb in a refrigerator, I have no idea. But it was supposed to be a refrigerator. I have no idea. no idea how they were going to get away with that. Like, does he wrap his arms around it? And what gets it to go back in time? Thank God that plan was scrapped. The DeLorean became literally one of the greatest features in movie history and one of the greatest artifacts in movie history. But yeah, but the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, I think, is what brought that movie all together, at least for me. So many great lines from that particular scene where Marty is brought on stage. He has to make sure his parents kiss. The other guy gets in the way of George kissing Lorraine. Scram, McFly. She's chanting for George as Marty is dying on stage because he's literally being erased from existence because his parents won't kiss. And then she finally kisses him. And then Marty just pops up. This is for all you lovers out there. Earth Angel, Earth Angel. Oh, what a great scene. And then after Earth Angel plays and his parents have kissed, everything's back to normal. He just needs to get back. And they're like, hey, would you play a song for us? And then he plays Johnny Be Good, which clearly is not Michael J. Fox's voice, but another iconic scene from that movie of Marty playing Johnny Be Good. And then in the second movie, if you don't remember that, which I love, a lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. But then Marty Marty at the end of obviously Back to the Future goes back to 1985. Gets back to 1985. Then the beginning of the second movie, we know he goes to the future. So 1985, Marty is in 2015. But then when he comes back to regular 1985, it is now an alternate 1985. So he's got to go back to 1955 and fix Biff getting the Gray Sports Almanac. So he's there while his Marty from the first movie is still there, and he runs into the gym and he's watching himself play Johnny Be Good on stage. Just, yeah, you have to think fourth dimensionally when watching this movie, but as a lot of people have said, the greatest telling of how time travel could work is from that movie, I think. And if you don't agree with me, we can never be friends. So just some great lines from that scene, that whole, not prom, but the Enchantment Under the Sea dance scene. But I just can't get over the fact this movie was going to be called Spaceman from Pluto. Like, that was the running title of the movie until somebody stepped in and said, no, we got to change it. And it was going to be a refrigerator as the time machine. Don't know how that was going to work. I'm sure a lot of you also know one final fact about Back to the Future. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but did you know that Eric Stoltz was Marty McFly and they filmed the movie for 6 weeks with him? They were almost done filming Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly. And then the producers all got together and just said, this isn't working. He's taking the role too seriously. It's not as funny as we thought it was. Michael J. Fox was shooting Family Ties right down the street, and they had to figure out a way to do both. And Michael J. Fox filmed Family Ties from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then would go over to the lot where they shot Back to the Future, and then he would shoot Back to the Future from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then the daytime shots for Back to the Future were shot on the weekends. Just it's a fascinating story. But there's still old footage out there. You can see it online. There's no sound of Eric Stoltz. 6 weeks he shot as Marty McFly. Can you imagine? Now, granted, I say this all the time when we talk about people that got roles or were up for roles that we found out didn't get it. Maybe if we watched Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz and Michael J. Fox was never in it, we'd be like, oh my gosh, Michael J. Fox was going to be Marty McFly? No way. That would never have worked because we would have only known it one way. But yeah, Eric Stoltz filmed 6 weeks of the movie. They were basically almost done. I think they said they were 3/4 of the way through the movie. And they just decided it wasn't working with him. So they had to tell him they were going to replace him. And that's how Michael J. Fox got cast. I mean, he was already popular because he was on the most popular show at the time, Family Ties, or one of the most popular shows. And then he gets Back to the Future and his career takes off. So just wanted to go over that. I wanted to, before we get to questions, a couple things that I wanted to go over. First off, The Golden Bachelorette has ended filming. I do not know who Joan picked. You know who your final four guys are off the top of my head. If you don't want to know, maybe, I don't know, shut off the live here for a little bit. But if you don't want to know, and you only know their names and their faces of what I've put out there. So, and unless you've done any research on your own, but we have, Pascal Perel from Chicago. We've got, I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Pascal Chalk Chapel from Wichita, Kansas. We've got, I've got it in my phone. Hang on. Chalk Chapel, right? Oh, I just only have their pictures. Damn it. What's this guy's name? Crap. I know he's from Nevada. And then this guy. This is the other guy from Chicago. Oh, crap. Sorry about that. But those are your four. I should have remembered their names. I don't know who won. Hopefully I'll find out soon. Nobody else is reporting anything on Golden Bachelorette, so it's not like I'm worried about somebody beating me to the punch here. But those are your final four. I don't even know where they went for overnights and final rose ceremony. But hopefully I'll find that out and find out who she chose. But those are your four final guys. Episode 5 is tomorrow night for Jenn's season. Now, episode 5 is going to start with, we still have to go over what happened at the end of episode 4, because episode 5 ended with the beginning of the rose ceremony. She hasn't even told the guys yet that her ex, Matt Rossi, has shown up in Auckland, New Zealand, and wants to join the show, which, as we know, is complete BS. And we come to find out more because Jenn went on her podcast tour this week. She went on Nick's podcast. She went on Emma and Claire's podcast. I believe she went on Bachelor Happy Hour too, didn't she? She did at least 3 or 4. We come to find out, she said it on the episode that they dated for 3 or 4 months back in the day. But we come to find out when she did these podcasts this week, yeah, they only dated 3 or 4 months. Neither one of them ever told each other that they love one another. They had only reconnected really after she got back filming from Joey's season. And then here he is saying, she goes, he had never, ever told me, not even when we were dating, that he was in love with me. And then he decides to tell me by coming on the show. Clearly, if you look at Matt's Instagram page, he's kind of an Instagram. He wants to build a following. He's got the wiener dog. It's clear that's what he did it for. There was nothing at all remotely about him actually being into Jenn. I shouldn't say he wasn't into Jenn. I'm sure he has feelings for her. I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, he had his chance when he was with her dating. He never said anything. He had his chance before she was announced as the Bachelorette. He never said anything. And then he finds out she's announced as the Bachelorette, and all of a sudden he wants to join the show and tell her he's in love with her. It's just very hard to buy that this wasn't all about him and making this grand gesture and making it seem like he really was in love with her. But as we all know, she does not take him back. I'm sure there's going to be some debate tonight once she tells the guys. I'm sure all the guys are going to be upset by it. Like, we don't think he should be joining this 2 weeks into filming, because we're down to what at this point there's 11, because she had just sent Sam N home on the group date portion, right? Yeah. So they're coming to the rose ceremony. We see Matt arriving in his tuxedo. He's done in the first, 20 minutes of this episode. And then they have episode 5, which this is episode 5, but I'm talking about rose ceremony number 4 happens. And then we'll get Jonathan's one-on-one date where they take a helicopter ride, and I think they end up in a winery. I don't know what the group date is. Oh, that's the one with all the lambs. You know, they're out in the sheep. They're out in the countryside. That's the group date. And then Grant gets his one-on-one date. And I don't know if we're going to get a rose ceremony at the end of this episode or not. Not sure. Like last week's, it didn't end with a rose ceremony. Maybe this one does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But then next week is Seattle, and that's the episode before Hometowns. You realize next week we're already at episode before Hometowns? Seems like this season's gone by pretty fast. But yeah, The big thing tonight, for at least the first, 20, 30 minutes, however long they want to spend on it, is the guys finding out that Matt, her ex-boyfriend, came to visit her. So we will talk about that. If you have any questions, like I said, put your questions in the question box and we'll get to those in a little bit. But one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about is the contestants' contracts. And this is something that Kristen Baldwin from EW.com seems to tweet out once a season. And I think the reason it's relevant this season, obviously, is because of what Sam M and his family are saying about his edit this season. And they're all like, oh my gosh, they're not showing stuff in context. We all know what they've been complaining about and whining about all season long. And I said it last week on the podcast, like, hey, it's literally written right there in the contract. If you don't like it, don't sign the contract and don't go on the show. They're just upset that their son, their brother-in-law, and Sam himself is being portrayed in a negative light. I get it. You're going to defend your family, but when 6 people from your family, when your 2 sisters, your brother, your brother-in-law, your mom, and your dad all take to social media, it's a little extreme. We can all agree on that, right? I understand a contestant saying you're not understanding the full story. I understand 1 or 2 family members being like, wow, didn't think the show would do our child dirty like this. Not 6 people. So what I wanted to bring out was 2 things from the contract. One thing that Kristen Baldwin from EW.com posts every year, seemingly during the season, which literally is this. So let me bring this up and blow this up here for you. I'm going to read it for you. This is in the contract. It says applicants acknowledge, understand, and agree that companies use or revelation of personal information, use of revelation of personal information and recordings as defined in these eligibility requirements and representations may be embarrassing, unfavorable, humiliating, and or derogatory, and or may portray him or her in a false light. Each applicant agrees to release, discharge, and hold harmless from the companies from any and all claims, including without limitation for claims for slander, libel, defamation, violation of rights, privacy, publicity, personality, and or civil rights, depiction in a false light, intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress, copyright infringement, and or any other tort and or damages arising from or in any way relating to the submission of an application, participation in the selection process, participation in the program, use of personal information or recordings, and or the use of the applicant's name, voice, and or likeness in connection with the program or the promotion, therefore all media now known here after devised. Applicants are required to sign release to this effect. Basically, we can show you in any light we want and you have no legal recourse against us. It's literally right there in the contract. So them claiming, oh, we're going to maybe go, if the family is claiming we're going to go after them for defamation. Nope. Sorry. You signed away that chance when Sam signed a contract to go on the show. Now, I found a contract, and this was from years ago. This is from a contract that I got from a contestant, I want to say mid to late 2000s, like before 2010. I don't even know who gave it to me. I just know I've had it saved on my desktop for years. While the contract may have changed a little bit over the years, I'm guessing this is roughly the same. And here's what it says. This is just a part of the contract that I screenshot on my phone. Literally underlined and in bold. Basically knowledge or acknowledgement of potential embarrassment and surprises. You are acknowledging by signing this contract, I acknowledge that interviews on or in connection with the series may consist of another participant and or my statements about other participants, Sam M's about Devin, personal relationships, and perhaps the opinions and statements of my family and or friends and other people connected with the series, and that some of these statements and or statements by the host of the series, producer or producers, employees or agents or others may be considered surprising, humiliating, embarrassing, derogatory, defamatory, or otherwise offensive or injurious to me, the viewing audience, producer or producers, employees or agents, and or other third parties. Now we get into big and bold. And this is basically, again, stating about how you have no legal recourse. Any such statement or statements by me and any injuries allegedly caused thereby are hereby specifically included within the matters be released under paragraph 5 below and indemnified against under paragraph 5 below. Further, any such statement or statements by another participant, if any, the viewing audience, the series host, producer or producer's employees or agents, and or other third party are hereby specifically included within the matters released under paragraph 5 below. So once again, you have absolutely no chance to go after this show for anything they do. And it literally says in the contract, they may throw a surprise at you. They can embarrass you. They can humiliate you. They can basically portray you in an absolutely false light, and you have nothing you can say. So, McKinney family, again, like I told you last week, maybe you didn't go and read Sam's contract. Maybe you should. And if not, if you're watching this, I think those two snippets from a contract, I think if you go on bachelornation.com, if you go on that website, it has the contestants contract on there. That's where I believe Kristen Baldwin gets her excerpt from, that first one that I showed you. The second one, like I said, it came from a contestant contract that was sent to me. I'd have to go look at it. I want to say it was 07, maybe 08. I couldn't even tell you who sent it to me. I just remember saving it and keeping it on my desktop. And here we are in 2024 and I still have it. So maybe that wording has changed a little bit, but I don't think much, because the snippet that I read from what Kristen Baldwin tweets out every year essentially says the same thing. We can humiliate you. We can embarrass you. We can say derogatory things about you, and you have no legal recourse against the show. So somebody's SOL. And that's why it doesn't make any sense, really, to fight your edit on this show. You just have to accept it. Now, the Men Tell All tapes next Thursday, I believe, the 15th. Tomorrow's the 5th. So the 8th is this Thursday. So, yeah, the 15th, it tapes. Sam McKinney will obviously be at the Men Tell All. And it's going to be very interesting. He's obviously going to get called up to the hot seat for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how he handles himself. How he should handle himself is, you know what? I watched the show back and I realized I shouldn't have been as harsh as I was towards other men, and I let my emotions get the best of me. And that's what he should say. Will he? Probably not. My guess is he's going to, and not that he's going to sit up there and defend his edit, but he might make a snide remark here or there about, well, not everything is as it seems or whatever. But again, like I went over in my column this past week, I'm taking away when I talk about Sam, I'm not even talking about anything that's a voiceover, because I know that stuff was chopped up. I'm giving him that. Yes, there are things absolutely that have been chopped up when it comes to Sam's edit, but there are plenty of things in Sam's edit that haven't been chopped up. And I think we can all see that. And, what I should have had all set and ready to go here was Emma and Claire's podcast, where they asked her about, have you seen what Sam M and his family have been saying online? And she said, yes. I put it on my Instagram story. I reposted it. Should have saved it for this, but too late now. If you saw it, Jenn basically said, yeah, I've seen what he's been saying. And my answer to that is maybe people should take more responsibility for the things that they say. And that's all we're talking about. The things that we can see Sam say on screen, where we see his face and we see his mouth moving. Like the conversation he had with Devin. I'm sure the conversation he had with Devin was chopped up. We didn't see the full conversation. I'm sure they probably argued with each other for an hour. I'm sure we didn't see every minute of that. I know we didn't see every minute of the conversation. We saw like a minute of it. But what I'm saying is the things that we did see him say, he couldn't have been saying to anybody else, because it was just him and Devin in the room. And he was telling Devin, hey, your name doesn't come out of my mouth, which is just a flat out lie. All he does is talk about Devin. So it's okay to not like somebody in the house. I'm not saying Sam M is wrong for not liking Devin. You're going to have guys in the house, just like you have women in the house every season, that just don't get along. Some people rub people the wrong way, and clearly Devin rubs Sam M the wrong way. However, Sam M just keeps talking about it, and that's what's the thing that we are calling him out for. So just keep that in mind. But those contracts, you ask any lawyer, it's literally the worst contract you can sign going on a reality TV show, because you're giving away all your rights and they own you for basically a year. And people have always said, oh, it's the contracts and the producers and the producers and do stuff. But I wanted to show you in writing the stuff that everyone kind of talks about on the periphery, like, oh, those contracts are terrible. The contract says they can do whatever they want. There it was. Like, it's written right there in the contract. So I do want to, like I said, I do want to get to your questions. So if you have a question, I'm going to pull some up right now. Probably do these for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes, because this is a good thing that I do this at 8 Eastern time on Sunday nights, at least for the month of August, because Big Brother doesn't come on till 9 Eastern time on Sunday night. So we're going to go straight into Big Brother. By the way, has anybody been, I tried to stay away from it this week. It was damn near impossible. I know who wins HOH this week, and I know the 3 nominations. I don't know if Power of Veto has already been played by Sundays. Has it? Or is it Power of Veto is played tomorrow? And then that's determined of what happens after that. But I do know who won HOH, and I do know who won, or who the HOH put up this week. And I kind of know I have a feel or a vibe of what's going on in the house. I didn't watch any live feeds, just reading some of the recaps and seeing some of the clips. I just watched them this week. Last week, I was able to avoid them. Every time I saw something come up on my For You page on TikTok, I just swiped up. This week, I couldn't. I just was like, okay, well, I was trying to stay unspoiled, but I saw something that basically made it impossible to avoid who won HOH. And then once I found out who won HOH, I was like, okay, well, I got to know who they put up. So do people want to know? I don't know. Do people want to know, or do you already know, or should I spoil it, or I don't know. Looking at some of the questions, veto is played on Saturday. The veto ceremony is on Monday. Okay, so we already know who won the veto. Okay, so that's something I don't know. I don't know who won the veto. Obviously, there's 4 that are up, the head of household, and then the 3 nominees are up. And I do, that's the other thing I do know. I do know the 2 names that were pulled. So I do know the 6 that compete in the Power of Veto, but I did not read who won Power of Veto. I don't know if people in the comment section want to spoil it for others. Power of Veto is played yesterday. Steve, veto meeting is tomorrow. Okay. So head of household is played Thursday nights. The noms are probably Fridays. Power of Veto is played Saturday. And then the Power of Veto meeting is on Mondays. Got it. All right, let's get to your questions. And let's bring these up. Do you hold any info on Dance with the Stars cast? Please, please, please say Gary is not involved. No, I don't know anything about Dancing with the Stars cast. However, I'll just stand by my prediction that the pommel horse guy from the men's gymnastics team with the glasses, the Clark Kent guy, I'm already forgetting his name. I think he's going to be the Olympian that's on this season of Dance with the Stars, because they always seem to take they take Olympians every year, but the year of the Olympics, they always seem to go with the name that's hot, and the name, like the one person coming out of the Olympics that nobody really knew going in, and then who all of a sudden blew up on social media. That's pommel horse guy. Like, I'd be shocked if he wasn't cast. Next one. Celeste asks, Steve, what are your thoughts about Jenn's ex, Matt? Yeah, I gave those. You probably asked that before I went into my, not diatribe on him, but hearing Jenn making the podcast rounds this week and talking about her past relationship with Matt. Come on now. He could have told her at any point before going on this show that he had feelings for her. He was falling for her. He was in love with her. She's like, he tells me he loves me in Auckland to my face. She goes, he's never told me he loved me before. So it's very hard to believe that as a viewer, because you're just like, why wouldn't you have said this before? Why wouldn't you have made your feelings known before to her? He does it because he flew from a wedding in Colombia that she was supposed to be his date at. And look, he's obviously doing it to gain some more traction. Bachelor Data has the numbers. I don't know what they are. I know she did a post on it of how many followers Matt gained from before he appeared on last week's episode till now. I don't think it's much. It's like less than 1,000, I think. So it's not like he's becoming famous by doing this. I know he tried, but it doesn't seem genuine to me. Leah asks, how many episodes are in Jenn's season? Should be 10. So tonight is 5. Tomorrow night is 5. Next week in Seattle is 6. The week after that is Hometowns, which is 7. Then it looks like Men Tell All will be 8. And then 9 and 10 will be Overnights and Final Rose Ceremony. I don't see how they pull out 11 episodes out of this season. So it looks like she's got 10, which is exactly... Charity had 9. Gabby and Rachel had 10. So she got one more episode than Charity and same amount as Gabby and Rachel. Liz wants to know, what do you know about Devin? Do you have any intel on what makes him a good fit for Jenn? I don't know anything about Devin, really. I know that she picked him, and I know that she's still with him. I posted that on my birthday. So the Final Rose Ceremony was May 16th. I posted on my birthday, May 31st, of who Jenn chose this season. And, you know, as I say all the time when I announce the winner, it's like, hey, I know there's going to be people out there that doubt it because there have been times where I have been wrong. But this one isn't wrong. She's with Devin. I think even just watching these first, after tonight, 5 episodes, I think it's clear who she picked. Like, I don't even think she's trying to hide anything. The podcast episode she did this week, I mean, didn't change anything. Not to mention, I know that they've seen each other post-show. So, as for, you know, why she picked him, are they going to last? Who knows? Probably not. You know, the odds are against them because there's way more not success stories from this show than there are success stories. Charity is still with Doughton. Zach is still with Katie. Joey is still with Kelsey. So those are success stories. We've had so that's 3 of the last 4 seasons. Our couples are still together. So maybe that is a little hope for them. But every couple is different. We know this. So you can't say because Joey and Kelsey are still together, that means Jenn and Devin are going to stay together. Or because Charity and Doughton are still together, that means Jenn and Devin are going to stay together. We just don't know. Everybody's different. So I don't really know enough about Devin. She clearly has been into him since night 1. There's no doubt. Just watch the show. And, you know, the only thing I'm trying to find out the rest of the season is just this thing that she hinted at the beginning of the season where she said, yeah, I was told that something happens at the end that's never happened before. That's the only thing I don't know. But hopefully we'll get that before the season ends. How on earth did you find out this incredibly and interesting and useless trivia? Hysterical. Oh, you mean about Back to the Future? Well, I've seen enough, I don't want to call them documentaries, but I don't even know what to call them. But there's just been like specials, like A&E did a special on movies from the 80s or something like that, and it's been covered. I've read enough interviews with the writers and the creators, Bob Zemeckis, Bob Gale, over the years. There's a book. Can't even remember the name of the book, but the author came on this podcast. He was a giant nerd fan like I am, who wrote a book about basically the oral history of Back to the Future. It was covered in there. And just because I love the movie so much, anytime I like a movie or a TV show as much as I do when it comes to Back to the Future and Karate Kid, I just do a lot of deep dives and read up anytime I see an article and see an oral history of the movie, I'll just always read that. And it's usually the actors and or the writers and the producers, when they talk about it, will always give away stuff that happened behind the scenes. Why do you think Devin removed you as a follower? So I told this story earlier this week. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. Can't remember what day it was. Right when the show ended filming, I immediately started following. And when the guys came back on social media and became public, I followed Jenn's Final Four. So I know I followed Devin back on May, whatever it was. Final rose ceremony was May 16th. I don't know what day they were allowed to go live. Oh, it was the day they were officially announced as a cast, whatever day that was. And I know I followed Devin and Jonathan and Marcus and Jeremy because they're the Final Four. But I don't really pay attention to how much they're showing up in my feed and showing up in my Instagram stories. And I was like, so I never went back and checked. And then I was texting with somebody earlier this week, I think on Tuesday, about Devin. And I was like, that's weird. I'm not seeing that. And then I went to Devin's Instagram page and the blue follow button was showing, basically telling me, hey, follow this person. And I was like, that makes no sense. I literally followed him at the end of the season. Why am I not following him anymore? And then, right when I found that, I clicked follow. And then the next day when I went back and looked, it said follow. The blue follow button was showing again. So I was like, why is it? And it might not even be on Devin. It might be a glitch in the system for all I know. Or maybe it is Devin. Thing is, I don't have an answer. But whatever day I talked about that on my podcast, I think it might have been Wednesday or Thursday. By the time the podcast came out the next morning, I was following him. So your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what happened or what's going to happen. But as of right now, I'm following him and I see his stories that he posts, and I see anytime he posts anything on his feed, it is coming up in my on my Instagram. Could you guess how many times you've seen Back to the Future? Well, you got to also remember, this was a big cable movie back in the mid-'80s. And then it's still shown a lot on TNT and TBS. So the amount of times I've been flipping channels and it has come on, it's one of those movies that I can't turn away from. So, but from beginning to end, I've seen at least 30 or 40 times. But then if we're counting all the times I came across it on HBO or TNT or TBS, you got to throw in probably another 50. This movie's been out for almost 40 years. Next year will be the 40th year anniversary, right? 85, 2025. Yeah. So next year is going to be the 40th anniversary. Easily 100 times. The second one, not nearly as much. And then the third one, the least. But I've still seen the third one probably either full or parts of it 20, 25 times. More so parts of it. I've probably seen more parts of 3 than I have seen beginning to end. Do you think Jenn and Devin will make it to the After the Final Rose given how controversial he is? Yeah. They've only got, about 4 or 5 weeks to make it? They're still together. They've seen each other numerous times since filming it. So I can't imagine. If something happens between now, granted, I can't predict the future. So maybe something could happen between now and whenever the finale is, I guess, but I don't see that happening. Why did the powers that be at Bachelor completely ghost Melissa Rycroft? She said she never gets invited to any Bachelor event. It's a good question. She says that, but does she want to be? Did she say it saying, I wish I was invited? Maybe they just don't think. I think the other thing you got to take into consideration is there's a lot of fans that have come on to this show in the last 5 years since the advent of social media. And let's face it, Melissa was on the show back in 2009. And she's not currently with somebody that was ever on the show. And do you think when they bring her on, she really wants to talk about getting dumped on an empty set of After the Final Rose? Probably not. That'd be my guess. So if she was still with somebody from the franchise, absolutely, it would make sense. And she could have that gripe about, well, I'm surprised they don't invite me to anything. But she was on the show 15 years ago, and she's not with anybody that was ever on the show. So I don't see why they would invite her. But that's just me. That's nothing against Melissa. I just don't think, I think a lot of their fans kind of joined the show, kind of a rebirth of the franchise during all this, the birth of Instagram and social media. And she just wasn't in that era. So it doesn't really make sense to bring her on, because if you bring her on, you almost have to talk about what happened. And it's like, okay, that happened in 2009. She's married with children. Jason is married with children. You know, they invite Jason and Molly all the time. Hell, Jason and Molly are going to be on this episode next week. Not tomorrow night, but in 2 weeks when they go to Seattle. They're on the group date at the radio show. We saw it in the previews. And Molly is actually flown to Hawaii, and she has a talk with Jenn in Hawaii when she first gets to Hawaii before she starts her overnight dates. So this is what I mean. Like, it makes sense because Jason and Molly are a success story from this franchise. Melissa isn't. Is Steve implying that Matt is not on the show for the right reasons? You could say that. I mean, did I see correctly that he did a TikTok this week that basically documented from when he was in Colombia and he was flying to Auckland to see Jenn? Doesn't that scream that he's clearly doing this out for attention? And it's just, like I said, I'm not denying he's got strong feelings for her, but let's make no mistake about why he did it the way he did it. He could have easily told her this once he found out she was Bachelorette and before she left. Granted, she probably wouldn't have said, you know what, I'm not going to take the role now. I want to be with you. She probably wouldn't have done that. But he could have told her it before she was named the Bachelorette. She was done filming Joey's season basically mid-October of 2023. She wasn't named Bachelorette until March of 2024. Why didn't he tell her at any point between October of 2023 and March of 2024? Jenn, I have feelings for you. I'm falling in love with you. Want to see if we could take this to the next level. However kids word it nowadays. I don't know. But why couldn't he tell her that in those 6 months? He clearly did it because he's kind of bummed about the attention that she got from being the Bachelorette and knows that, crap, if I don't say something, she's going to come back an engaged woman. It's very hard to buy, you know. A few more questions here, and then we'll head out so we can all go watch Big Brother. Do you think the guys will bring up things about Devin at the Men Tell All? I'm sure they will talk about him, about how he was in the house, and I'm sure Sam and Thomas N will be leading the way. But with him not there to defend himself, it seems like kind of a lost cause. But I know they're not going to stay quiet about him. And we'll probably be able to see everybody in the house that was Team Devin and everybody in the house that was not Team Devin. Because I think here's the thing. I think there were guys that were bothered by him, but didn't take it to the extreme that Sam M and Thomas N did. Like, yeah, wasn't really a fan of his boldness and brashness, but hey, that was him. I just let him do his thing. Sam M and Thomas N just let him get under their skin so much. Whereas, yeah, I mean, this is what the family is basically saying. Oh, there are other guys. It's not just Sam and Thomas that hate Devin. There are other guys in the house that are just not showing it. Yeah, probably because those other guys weren't going off as much as Sam and Thomas were. So that's what I mean. I think there are definitely other guys in the house that probably Devin rubbed the wrong way, but they just like, okay, just let him do his thing. I'm here to see if I have a connection with Jenn. I'm not going to let Devin's connection with Jenn get to me. But it's clear that's what's bothering Sam the most, is that he's got this physical connection with Jenn and he can't possibly see anybody liking him and also liking Devin. So he takes it as a personal affront. And so he just insults the guy. What's that phrase? We hate what we are. I think Sam sees a lot of himself in Devin. It's just kind of my psychoanalysis of it. Carrie wants to know who's my pick for Bachelor. Man, I haven't really given it much thought. You know, if we're going to take this show for what they do, which is usually cast somebody from the Final Four, Jenn was not from Final Four. Her and Hannah Brown were the only two women who have ever been the Bachelorette that finished outside of the Final Four. For men, it was Colton, Clayton, and Juan Pablo. And then there are some that were just brought in off the streets. And that's in the earlier seasons. You know, when Andrew Firestone was named the Bachelor, he was not on a previous Bachelorette season. When Charlie O'Connell was named the Bachelor, he was not on a previous Bachelorette season. Prince Lorenzo, Matt Stork. What's his name? Matt Stork? The guy that's on the Doctors. And then when Brad Womack was on for the first time, he was the last guy that was named the Bachelor that came in out of nowhere. That was not on a previous season. Every Bachelor since Brad Womack's first season came from a previous Bachelorette season. Now, you can argue about Matt James, but Matt James was a contestant or set to be a contestant on Claire's season. Remember, they released the men for Claire's season, and then COVID happened. So then when Claire's cast, so during that shutdown, so Claire was supposed to film in March of 2020. They released the cast like they usually do 3 days before she was set to film. Production gets shut down because of COVID. And then Matt James was named the Bachelor before Claire even started filming her season in Palm Springs in July of 2020. He was named in June, like 2 weeks after the George Floyd incident. Like, we've been over all this. We all know why Matt James was named the Bachelor. And for the first time in the show history, they named the Bachelor 3 months before they even started filming. He started filming in September of 2020. So, yeah. So that's the only other one that you can maybe draw an issue with in terms of from Brad Womack's first season. But like I said, Matt was going to be a contestant on Claire's season. He was in the cast. But then when she got shut down, there was like, oh, let's name him the Bachelor. Steve, did you stop watching The Challenge? No. Was looking forward to you covering All Stars 4, but maybe Challenge 40. I'll talk about Challenge 40 on my podcast, The Daily Roundup. I did not watch All Stars 4, although I did see who won. I did see that Laurel ended up winning. And Challenge 40. See, I'm more of a challenge guy. I've never watched any of the All Star seasons. I think I couldn't name all the winners, but I read at the time who won. I couldn't remember who won them now. I remember All Stars 4 who won, Laurel, because it was the most recent. But I don't remember who won seasons 1, 2, and 3. I always watch The Challenge. That's one I watch in real time. And I'll talk about it on the Daily Roundup. So I look forward to that. I don't want spoilers. I'm really curious to see how Eras plays out. What is it? Next Wednesday, right? The 14th. Yeah, 14th is the first episode. This Wednesday, we get like one of those preview shows for season 40. I can't wait. I mean, this looks like arguably the best season they've ever had with this cast, the Eras, 10 from the early and then 10 from middle, and best cast ever. It's got to be, right? And finally, Mira wants to know, what are Steven Nedorosic's? Yeah, the pommel horse guy with the glasses. Chances of being on Dance with the Stars. I think he's the guy. I think he is going to be the Olympian that's on the cast this year. It just makes all the sense in the world. I'm not saying there's other people from the Olympics this year that haven't made a name for themselves, but he's the one that seemingly has blown up on social media out of nowhere. And those are the people they like putting on the show. Like I said, they put Olympians on every season, but he's the one that nobody knew a thing about unless you literally follow men's gymnastics in the 4 years that it's not on the air regularly. I don't think anybody would have heard of Steven Nedorosik. The other crazy thing is he only does pommel horse. That's it. That's all he does. He's not in anything else. And the guy ends up winning a bronze in the individual, and then they got them a bronze in the team events. And his social media blew up. Everybody loves the kid. Like, it's him. It's got to be. At least, put it this way, at least he's going to be approached. Maybe he's too embarrassed to dance and he doesn't even want to attempt it. But I think everybody that they asked to do that show, you don't make money as an Olympian anymore, do you? Or maybe with NIL now you can. I don't know. But I'm guessing he hasn't come close to making the money that he could make by going on Dancing with the Stars. Hell, even if he gets eliminated the first week, which he won't, you get a base pay of $125 or $150 to go on Dancing with the Stars. And then you get bonuses of, I think it starts for weeks 1 through weeks. The contract has been out there, but it's like you get a base of $125 or $150 just to go on the show. And then you get weeks, if you last weeks 1 to week 3, every week you last, you get an extra $20,000. And then weeks 4 to week 6, I believe, is $30,000. And then week 6 to week 9 is $40,000. And then if you make it to the finals, it's $50,000 each week you last. So weeks 1 to 3 is 20, 60,000. Weeks 4 to 6, 30, that's 90,000. So that's 60 and 90. It's another 150. Weeks 7 to 10 or 7 through 9, 40,000. So that's another 120. So 150 and 120 is 270 plus the 125 or 150 you get base just to be on the show. And then you get 50. I mean, you literally make $250,000 if you get to the finals of this show and win it. Who would pass that up? I would guess a guy who does the pommel horse that nobody knew about 2 weeks ago would take that in a heartbeat. I don't care how bad of a dancer he is or if he has 2 left feet. Has to take it, right? How would you not? A couple more. Do you keep up with Katie Thurston? I'm sure you're aware of the rift between her and Dave. I mean, I follow Katie on Instagram, so I'm aware of what happened a few weeks ago with that. I gave my thoughts on it at the time. No need to chime in anymore on it. I'm aware of what she put on her Instagram story. I brought it to, I mentioned it on my podcast about how the San Diego Police Department failed her when it came to the rape charge from back in, I think it was October of 2023. I felt awful for her that she had to go through that, but I'm able to separate the two between what she went through and because what she went through had nothing to do with her relationship with Dave. So I wish she wouldn't have posted what she did in regards to the Dave situation, because I think there's a lot more to it. And I know there's a lot more to it. And I'm glad that Dave just kind of took the high road from there. But I follow Katie. Yeah, I see her stuff. I see that she's dating that comedian, Jeff Arcuri. And, good for her. I hate that what happened to her, though. I mean, it's awful. I said it at the time. Like, that was just, and I'm sure she wasn't too thrilled about having to relive that. But by sharing her story and doing that, what was like a 10 on her Instagram feed, did that 10 photo carousel sharing all the steps she went through and then to be failed by the San Diego Police Department. I mean, how can you not feel bad for her? It was terrible. So that sucks. And finally, how has Thomas made it this long? I didn't see a connection. Thomas and because twice, the time he called Devin out and pulled him aside, that wasn't a good thing. That didn't help his cause. And then what was the other thing he did recently? Didn't he do something else? Oh, where he pulled Sam aside. Now, this wasn't in front of Jenn, but Thomas just didn't have a great approach. He just took the wrong avenues in trying to kind of get his point across at times. Best way I can describe it. And we're going to see Rose Ceremony number 4 at the beginning of the episode tomorrow night in the first, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. like I told you, we started episode 4 with 12 guys, and we know at the end of episode 5 there's only 7. So we know there's 5 guys that go home between the 2 rose ceremonies in New Zealand. My thing was I didn't know who went home when. We know the 5 guys are Spencer, Dylan, Sam N, she's already sent home, Thomas N, and then Austin. And Austin self-eliminates. I think he self-eliminates in episode 5. So if I'm guessing how many guys go home, she's already eliminated Sam M, and Sam N in New Zealand. I don't think there's going to be a rose ceremony where just one guy goes home. So my guess is 2 guys go home tonight. And one of them is Thomas N. And the other one is, gosh, I don't know. It's either Austin or no, because Dylan and Spencer make it to Seattle. Because we see them both at the group date after party in Seattle in the preseason clip. So I don't know. Maybe Austin will live in, she's already sent home Sam N. So Thomas N is definitely going home in the first New Zealand rose ceremony tonight. He's definitely gone. And then it's just a matter of if Austin eliminates himself. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, yeah. So maybe only one guy gets eliminated at the rose ceremony, and it's Thomas N. So we'll see. Anyway, I appreciate you all tuning in on this Sunday. Next Sunday, there will be, is there still Olympics going on next Sunday? When does it end? This week? This Saturday night? I don't even know when it ends. Anyway, we're back next Sunday. Tune in tomorrow for the daily roundup. We got a recap on Tuesday, reader emails on Wednesday, podcast number 403 coming on Thursday with, I don't even know who yet. I haven't even sent out any emails this week to see who could possibly be on the podcast. I know Cheryl Burke is coming up. I got to hit up her PR person. So Cheryl Burke from Dancing with the Stars is going to come on before the next season starts. So either that last Thursday in August, which I believe is the 31st, 15th, 20, no. It's the 29th, right? Yeah, 31st is a Saturday. So my guess is Cheryl Burke's going to be on sometime in the month of August, because I don't think she's going to be on that Thursday of September 5th, the day I leave for Vegas. I don't think I'm going to put her on that one. I want to get her done in August. Maybe I'll wait until the Dance with the Stars cast is announced. But shit, we don't know when the cast is going to be announced. Just know Cheryl Burke's coming on the podcast. Her PR person already told me. But this week, don't know yet. I definitely will find somebody to come on this week. Maybe Kate Casey will do it. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you for all the questions. Thanks for all donations, super chats, whatever. I did see a couple Venmos come in, so I appreciate that. Anybody that Venmoed, I really appreciate the help and the support of this. So we will talk to you tomorrow on the Daily Roundup, Thursday on podcast number 403, and then we're back next Sunday night for another live stream. So again, I'm Reality Steve. Thank you for tuning in. Champion Under the Sea Dance. Peace out.